Okay, so apparently something here is being big emotions right now because I just got booted from the internet for the last 5 minutes and I don't know why. So I gray rocked, did some troubleshooting, and I'm back. So I do apologize. I noticed that this is happening every single day at the same time. So I think I might have to replace one piece of equipment, um, and hopefully that will help. But until then, we'll just do what we can, right? We're WYSIWYG, right? But like I was saying, you know, the gray rock technique should be used with caution, right? Yes, it may protect you from things, but don't use it to the point that it protects you from everything. Okay? Because then you're going to struggle to process. And this technique can also ruin relationships. And I say that from that experience. Because the more you're gray rock within a relationship, whether it be a friendship, an intimate relationship, your spouse, companion, partner, other family members, going gray rock all the time, every time, not only will pull you eventually from the relationship, it'll make that other person feel like they aren't worth anything to you, right? Because big emotions, big feelings, big loud voices, yes, those are hard things for someone else to process in that moment, especially when it's just kind of, this is the final straw, I've had it, type issue. But sometimes it's not just about you. Maybe that person just needs to vent or talk and they just don't know how to do it in a healthy fashion in that moment because it's just so much. Okay. And I know earlier I said emotional dumping ground. Venting and emotional dumping are two different things. And it may seem like emotional dumping, but honestly, they're just venting because in that moment, it all just kind of bottled up and volcanoed everywhere. Okay. And that's what you need to keep in mind. Um, so, you just have to exercise some caution, right, with this technique. Um, but not stifle a relationship, not remove yourself from that relationship because everybody needs to talk to somebody at some point, whether it's a professional or it's a family member or a trusted friend, because in between sessions, in between doctor's appointments, life happens, right? Before and even during the appointment and after, life happens. And the people that we rely on for our medical care or our mental health care, they're not always available, which is perfectly understandable, right? Because they have other clients, they have other patients, they have a life outside of their practice and their, helping people. So that's understandable. But in that regard, we can't always call them at home. We can't always leave them a message every 5 minutes saying, oh my gosh, I'm in crisis. No. Sometimes we need just one other trusted person, right? So, depending on what the situation is, the context is, ask somebody. If you need to say, okay, is this about me? Is this about something else that happened? And most times people will tell you, yes, it's about something you did, or no, this is just everything is so overwhelming right now. It all just came crashing down. I just need to get it out, right? And while yelling and screaming and mean words, those are not healthy mechanisms. Those are not healthy communication tools. But again, sometimes things happen, right? You can't always say, oh, this is what happened. No, it's big. It's hurtful. It's happy. It's whatever feeling or emotion you may be having at the moment, or they may be having. It's big. And even though you may not see it as a big deal, even if using the gray rock technique, if you don't see it as a big deal, that's okay. But don't diminish them, right? Don't say, well, this isn't a big deal to me, so I'm leaving. I'm going to go gray rock, or I'm get up and I'm going to walk away. No, because one, that's rude. And two, just maybe that person needs a little bit more human connection at that moment, you know? Just like a child, sometimes just everything is so overwhelming with school and sports and orchestra and a job and things aren't going well at home and their homework is rough and boom, you got a little volcano going on there. Would you walk away from a child? Well, no, because you want to comfort the child. You want to help the child. So that rule, that idea should also apply to adults. Now, trusted adults in your circle, right? Not necessarily strangers at the grocery store or strangers at the car mechanic, but your family unit, your inner circle, the outer ring, um, things like that. Um, you know, that that should be there. You shouldn't necessarily walk away from another adult because sometimes, especially if you're an adult like me, and I know that there are people out there, we don't we don't really have that inner circle or those trusted adults, you know, our peers our own age. We just we're here. And a lot of times it's hard. And even though things build up and it goes boom, and it builds up and it goes boom, um, people that struggle don't necessarily need that gray rock technique. They don't also need to necessarily be mean and cruel and take it out on you, but sometimes just a little bit of understanding and compassion can go a long way. And that's why this technique can be useful, but it can also be hurtful. And it's up to you if you choose to use it, how, when, and where to use it, right? Um, I'm not recommending that you do this all the time. I'm not recommending that, that you put this in your toolbox of tools for everyday use. I'm saying put this in the maybe we'll see, depending on where I'm at in the context of what is happening and my mental health day, right? That other little spare toolbox that you carry. And another big thing is it's hard to share in someone else's emotions because you may not understand, well, why are they feeling this way? Well, they may be telling you in that communication of explosion, but they aren't communicating it in a way you understand. So sometimes just sitting there and, maybe asking questions if they're up for that, or, oh my goodness, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Or, but you don't want to come across as patronizing. You want to be genuine with your family unit, your inner circle, outer circles, you know. Um, but you just don't want to sit there and go, okay, sure. No, no, because that causes a huge rift. That causes a huge problem. But sharing in that person's emotion, trying to understand, trying to empathize, that can actually go a very long way for building that relationship and trusting and, things of that nature. And then eventually you can get to know that person, like what upsets them, what doesn't upset them, how they talk, the words they use, and what they mean with those words. Another time, I'll touch on it right now, but we all speak our own language, right? Our own native tongue to communicate, whether that be from a different country, from the US, from wherever, okay? And within that, people have their own little language, right? It's called a regional dialect. So while people on one coast of Australia say a word that means something to them, somebody on a different area may say the same word, but it means something different to them, right? So if you bounce back and forth, you may understand, well, I'm over here, so this word means this, but I'm here now, so this means this. But when you get two people together, or a family unit together, or a blended family, mixed family, whatever it may be, you're mixing different dialects, different meanings, different experiences, different words. So while this word may mean something to this part of the family, it means something totally different to the new part of the family, the blended part. And then that's where confusion sets in. That's where hurt feelings come in. And I'm going to talk a little more about that. And there's also a different type of language called a love language. So we've got some topics lined up. But yeah, so with this gray rock technique, basically be careful with it. And I know I discussed it, and it's, obviously something that can be useful in certain situations, but not all situations, right? Because you don't want to destroy relationships. You want to be able to engage someone, even if they're having big feelings and big emotions, and it's just really a lot, right? Because sometimes you have to think, well, sometimes my feelings are big and they take it on without going gray rock. They sit here and help me and listen. They're an active listener, and they're asking questions, and they're trying to understand me. Gray rock isn't appropriate. Maybe I just once or twice I should take on and just try to figure out what made them upset. Maybe comfort them, maybe not in a childlike way, because there's childlike ways and there's adult ways, but the concept's the same, right? And then hiding your emotions after you've gone gray rock. And this will be the last little portion. After you've gone gray rock, obviously you're still going to be bombarded with whatever's going on, right? Even if you walk away, that little interaction, after you've checked out, for example, at the store, that little interaction you had with that very upset other customer is still going to impact you, because you're going to think about it. You're going to process it, right? So even after you walk away, it's still fresh in your mind. So instead of going gray rock on yourself to be like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Process it. And then even if it didn't bother you, try to discuss it with somebody you trust and say, hey, wow, this just happened at the store. They approached me. I went gray rock, but it really bothered me. Or you could even, if it didn't bother you, you can say, man, that was just an experience. And then, share it with somebody that you trust, right? And that way you're not bottling it up to volcano later, okay? Especially if it bothered you. So, that's a big thing too. Make sure that you get it out, right? Don't push it down, because that just causes other problems for you and the people that you may love, the people that you care about, your inner circle, your outer circle. That's just, volcano is not a good thing. And yet that's a topic for another day. We're just building topics here. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Let's see. Since I had to start a second stream, I'm literally trying, the times don't match. But yeah, keep that technique, but not in your everyday toolbox. Because anything that you use to help yourself or help others, right? No matter what it is, good or bad, the more you do it, the more it becomes a habit. And if you develop bad habits, life is more difficult. It's stressful. You're always worrying. You're always this, you're always that. And I know that past trauma plays a big role in that. But that's something that we're not going to ever cover on this channel, because that is a topic for a professional. I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing my experience and what I've learned over the years, taking care of my kids, both of my husbands, myself, and I want to share that knowledge. That's basically what this vlog is about, sharing my knowledge. Not necessarily preaching, not necessarily nagging, but just sharing. For anybody else out there that may be struggling, that just can't put their finger on it. I've tried everything and I don't know what to do, or, or if somebody just likes to listen to my voice and see me. Yeah, I know that was just not me. Anyway, refocus. But that's where we're at. Okay. Now I'm going to end this second stream. Yeah. And I'll come, I'll be here next Tuesday. Like I said, I'm working on a better schedule for when school starts. So it may switch to middle afternoons, right after school, that type of deal. So if you don't see me in the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, don't panic. It'll be later that afternoon after school, because, school's 5 days a week and we've got a lot to learn this year and we're looking forward to it. So until then, find some peace. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Eat your vegetables, get plenty of sleep, and drink plenty of water. Until we meet again, goodbye.